Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't been doing this all that long, but I'm already sick of hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I think I need some new material. Sorry about that. Today's video is going to be all about brushes. What kind of brush is this? Where do I use it? How do I clean it? Is there something else I can use instead? Okay, we're going to dig all the way deep on this one. So if you're interested in hearing all about that, stick around. We're going to get into that right after this. All right, I've got in front of me a tray of brushes that I just cleaned because I wanted you to see what they look like when they're wet. Like this is a real fluffy brush, but it doesn't really look like it because it's kind of wet. But as it dries, that fluffiness will come right back. So when you get ready to wash your brush, if it doesn't look the same as it did before, don't panic, because as soon as it dries, that fluffiness will come right back to it. First things first, I think this is very important for people to understand because they get really bogged down in, am I using the right brush for this? Do I need this brush? Do I need that brush? And the fact is, you can drown yourself in brushes. I wouldn't want to begin to show anyone my brush collection, and I know I probably don't have half of what some of the larger influencers have. But the bottom line is this. Yes, certain brushes are marketed as best for a certain job. For example, this is a brush by Real Techniques. This is marketed as a powder brush. Now, with that being said, does that mean that you can't use it for blush? No, it doesn't. But what that means is that Real Techniques as a company built a fluffy, soft brush that will work well for powder application. Okay, these companies, that's just what they do. They try to make the best brush to perform the best job on a certain type of product. In other words, this is a powder brush. Will it work for something else? Yes. Do you need a specific powder brush? I personally think that you do, because I don't think that other brushes can do the job that a powder brush can do. Now, I have this powder brush, which is very thick. I also have some that are more rounded, like these. These are also powder brushes, but they're not quite as thick and densely packed as that one. This is also a powder brush. Okay, do they all do basically the same job? Yes, they do. Do I need 17 powder brushes? No, I don't. Let's go with brushes you can use for different jobs. All right, let's talk about bronzer for a minute. All right, there are brushes that are made specifically for certain jobs, like I said. Like, they might call this a bronzer brush. Does that mean you have to use it for bronzer? No. Is it good for bronzer? Yes. And let me tell you why. You can get right up in here with it. You can come down the side of the nose with it. You can get under the chin with it. Plus you can get in here with it. Can you do the same thing with this one? Yes. Can you do the same thing with this one, only maybe sheared out a little bit more? Yes. Do I need all three of these brushes to do that job? No. No. Will this apply blush? Absolutely. Will this apply blush? Absolutely. Will this apply blush? Absolutely. All right. So, now, we've got contour, blush, and powder covered. Let's talk about some foundation brushes, because foundation brushes really, I think they confuse people. I won't say the most, but they do confuse people a lot. Now, as far as foundation brushes, you've got brushes like this. This is called a flat top kabuki brush, okay? Then you have one like this. You can see the water coming out of it. And this. These are both foundation brushes also, but they're a little more rounded, okay? Here's another flat top. And here is one a little more rounded. Do you get about the same application with these? Yes, you do. If you do not like using a small brush and you want to knock it out in a hurry, this brush to me is wonderful for spreading your product where you want it. And then you can go back in with a smaller brush and just take care of some of the details. Or you can use a brush like any of these first, and then come in on top of that with a makeup sponge. Both of these makeup sponges right here are made by e.l.f. This is their marshmallow sponge, and this is just their regular sponge. They're both $5 a piece. These do just as good a job as a $20 beauty blender. You do not have to invest a lot of money to get a good beauty sponge. Do people use beauty sponges to apply everything on their face? Yes, I have seen someone take a beauty sponge like this, apply foundation, concealer, powder, contour, blush, and highlighter. You can do that. Or you can take this and you can use it in with all these other brushes that I just showed you. I think a lot of people make brushes harder than they really are. And I say that not to be critical in any way. I say that because it's easy to be confused, and just know that there are no hard and fast rules. You know, I'm going to go ahead and continue this video, but I'm worried that you're not going to get the message that I'm trying to get across to you. And that message is, even though a brush is marketed for one thing doesn't mean that you can't use it for something else. Makeup is suggested, makeup is Makeup is subjective. Makeup tools are subjective as well. You find the one that feels good to you. The next brush that I'm coming to, these are called stipple brushes, and I don't know if you can see, but they're kind of spiky. they're not as firmly packed as like this foundation brush. Okay, they look very similar, but the ends are more spiky. And what that does is, like, it's wonderful for cream products. It's wonderful if you want a really light application of a product, because that stippling effect will help you shear out any kind of product that you use this on or with. I feel like I'm making a mess of this video. Now, let's get into some eye brushes. Oh, first, let me, hold on. Let's talk about some eye brushes. Got a handful here, and each one of these eye brushes is used for a different purpose. Does that mean you need every one of these? No, it does not. This brush, yes, I just grabbed two. These are going to serve the same purpose. It's just one's a little bigger than the other. This is what you call a blending brush, okay? This is a blending brush. That means you get your color in there and you want to spread that color out, you're going to use a blending brush. If you really want to shear it out, you're going to use a big blending brush. If you want it a little more concentrated, you can use this smaller blending brush. And this one is a little denser than this one as well. So this one's really going to shear it out where this one is not. Then you have this one right here is at an angle. Now, you can use this to put color in the crease. You can use this to put color at your lash line. You can use this to put color in your outer V. You can use that for any number of different ways. And it's very, very similar to this flat brush, except it does have the angle to it. Now, the flatter one is good for packing color. You can pack it on your lid, or if you want to smoke out your lower lash line, any kind of a brush like this will work. If you do not want a whole lot of color on your lower lash line, this is called a pencil brush or a detail brush. And a pencil brush is really good for going under your eye, for going in your inner corner, for going next to your lash line, because they're small and they're densely packed. I've got a little, this is just a little small angle brush. You can use this in your eyebrows, or you can use this to apply eyeliner. Then I have these two, and I don't know if you can tell how flat these are. They call these flat shader brushes, but basically these are good for packing color on the lid. These are really good for wetting, like for your shimmer shades, for your glitters that you want to put just on your lid. Those are wonderful for that. Now, highlighter. Not everyone uses highlighter, but I can show you right now a couple of my favorite highlighter brushes are these right here. I like the long taper of a brush like this, because you can get it right there at the high points of the face without getting it all over you. So that's what I like for highlighter. Now, I had someone ask me this, and I know I'm probably leaving something out. I've probably rushed through. And if anybody has any questions at the end of this video, or if you have a picture of a brush and you say, I don't have any idea what to do with this brush, send it to me and I'll see if I can help you out. I had somebody ask me what I was doing the other day when I was filming, because I was basically making this sound right here. And I was moving my hands around. They didn't know what I was doing. But what I was doing, this is called color switch. They're also called color cleaner, color changer, color switch. And they're in a little tin. And it's just a little piece of foam. You can still see, I just washed this one, so you can still see water dripping out of it. But it's down here in the little tin. And let's say that this is my favorite fluffy blending brush. Let's just say it's my favorite. And I don't want to use another brush. Let's say it's my only brush. Okay? Let's go there. And I have this dark color that I have in the crease, and I want to put something up here, and this is the only brush I have. Okay? You can take this and you can swirl it around, and it's going to remove that color from that brush so that you can dip it in another color and you don't get your colors all muddy on your eyes. And then whenever this gets dirty, you just take this out, and I just wash the inside of the tin, and I wash the sponge and let them dry. And I used the same thing, the same solid cleanser, to use this sponge as I used to wash all of my brushes and all of my sponges. So I'm going to insert a little video of me cleaning a few of my brushes so that you can see how simple it is. And then I usually take a real absorbent towel, and then I spread them out after I wash them on that towel, and then I usually will just set them in front of my fan so that they'll dry overnight. And the worst thing that you can do for your brushes is to dry them like this. You either want to dry them upside down, or you want to dry them straight out like that, because the water will drip down into the ferrule, and these are all made of wood, and so that water eventually is going to warp that wood. First of all, it's going to make your glue come undone, and then second of all, it's going to mess up your wood, and it's going to ruin your brushes. Now, I personally don't spend a whole lot of money on brushes. You can. There's certainly expensive brushes out there, but I find e.l.f. brushes, Real Techniques brushes, there are some Wet n Wild brushes. I love BH Cosmetic brushes. And then I've been very fortunate to get some brushes in some of my boxy charms that I've been impressed with. This particular brush right here, Wet n Wild. Okay, to me that looks like a very expensive brush, and it performs like a very expensive brush. So brushes are all about what you want to pay for them. You can't always just judge a book by its cover. Just because it's not very expensive doesn't mean it's not a good brush. And case in point would be e.l.f. brushes. You can't, this is an e.l.f. brush right here. Just because a brush is $5 doesn't mean that it's poor quality. So do your research before you make a purchase, and see what other people are saying about it, and you know, go from there. But anyway, I feel like I was all over the place. I don't know why. I guess I'm just not very good at organizing this content, but I think the other reason, I was kind of in a hurry to get this done so that I could get it edited and get it up to you. So anyway, probably as you're watching this, I am snoozing away some anesthesia. So I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you before the week's out probably not on Wednesday, but as soon as I can get back to you. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and I love you. Bye. All right, guys. I'm going to jump in here. I've got this solid cleanser right here that I purchased from Amazon. It's called Ann's Giverny, but it's just a solid cleanser for makeup brushes. I also have one that I got from Shop Miss A, and it is in a little tin like this, and as you can see, it's used very well. And I'm gonna start with my little tin that my color changer sponge is in. I'm just gonna rinse this out and get the excess eyeshadow out of it. Well, I can get the lid off. Come on. I got that booger stuck on there pretty good. Well, anyway, that doesn't want to come off. But here's the sponge that goes inside of it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of the sponge cleanser on this. And then I'm just going to do it like that. And I've got a little tray here, and I've already started doing some cleaning. So everything is just going to go on top of that. So this is what I do. I wet it. I swirl it around in the cleaner. I've got this little thing that you can get these on Amazon. And you just use this. Or if you don't have one of those, you can just as easily do it in the palm of your hand. And if you don't feel like it's clean enough the first time, go back in and do it again. And you may think, oh gosh, that brush doesn't look like it did when I first started using it. Well, it's going to look like that, but once you clean it, dry it, and fluff it back out, it's going to be just exactly like it was before. Now I'm going to take a flip that over. I've got a powder brush here, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure I have lots of cleanser on it. And you can kind of look right here by the ferrule. That's where you can tell if it's good and clean or not. And if it doesn't feel good and clean to you, put some more cleanser on it. Go back in. And then rinse it again. And put it on your drying tray. And I highly recommend that you dry a brush either flat or you dry it upside down, because you don't want to dry it this way or all the water is going to run down into the ferrule. and into the wood, and that's going to mess your brush up. It won't mess it up, you know, like right away, but eventually, the more it gets wet, the more that wood is going to mess up. So I'm just going to continue until I have all of them done. And then what I like to do is I like to put the tray in front of a fan, because we always keep a fan running in our room. And I'm just going to put them right in front of that fan and let them dry.